Good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time of day it is for you. My name is Justin KewlImp, and that whole host of names you heard me talk about. Now, I got a couple more builds for you guys today. And yes, I know I'm doing almost daily content, and no, I'm not expected to burn out here. Now, to begin out with, we are doing another build for Fl4k because he will be my main, like I've said before, but this is just for the funsies of it all. Now, this is a build I've heard of people doing, setting up, but this is going to be my take on it. Now, first off, we do want to spec into Master's going to be our primary because this is an entirely pet-focused build, which you'll notice we're missing Hive Mind and Shared Spirit because we don't want our pet taking extra damage. We also have some spec'd into our Stalker tree, and at current, nothing spec'd into Hunter. You'll also notice that after this build, we have about 8 points left over, which puts us at about level 42. I believe it's going to be level 42. So first off, I'm not sure if the pet will matter in this build. I think it's going to depend on preference. Mostly because we're focusing entirely on the pet. I'm going to say I like the Iridian Skag in this case. The singularity, the fire rate, the damage up. And for me, that is important. Now, first thing you'll notice, which is very obvious, we have spec'd all 5. We put all 5 points into ferocity. It was happening. Followed by 5 points into Go for the Eyes. Now, these two are going to be our biggest builders, at least early game. Although Frenzy is very important, these two are going to be our big ones that's going to come out swinging. Now, you'll notice I don't have any of these selected. And it's mostly because I don't know what's going to be good here. Nothing in here outright increases, endurance does. But the other one you can kind of leave open. Do you want him pumping out radiation damage? Do you want him, do you want your own personal damage to be increased? Or do you want to be able to heal people while you're doing that? We're going to follow this up by getting the Hunter skill Frenzy. Because the pet gets a stack of Frenzy as well, which leads to a 40% increase. We are going to get Psycho Head on a Stick. I get this almost every single build I do. I like the increased damage. I like the increased movement. And all you got to do is kill an enemy. That's going to be up almost every single conflict you go into. Now, I am going to pick up, of course, mutated defenses. With the Iridian Skag and sucking people in, he's going to be a big target. With that, I do want to go ahead and get the pet bonuses that are granted to Fl4k increased. And I'm not doing this as just some idle part of the build. If you didn't really like Barbaric Yelp and you thought it might be better used somewhere else, you could pick up a few points in Who Rescued Who and He Bites, which would both be very central to a pet build theme as well. We're also going to get Pack Tactics, increased damage, increased maximum health, and we're going to get Dominance. Now, a question came into my mind as I was doing this, as I was setting up this build. And that was, if you dominate someone, do they become a quote-unquote pet? Because if they become a pet, all of these confer over. Increased damage, increased health. So it may not be for the best to dominate every single enemy. Just throwing that out there, it's a big what if. Next, we are going to put 3 points into Sick'em. Increased command damage, lowered cooldown, or lowered increased cooldown. Well, less of a cooldown time. I don't like the way that they phrase it. Then we're going to put 2 points in the self-repairing system so we can get down to Eager to Impress. Again, this is going to just work on getting more cooldown, followed by all my BFFs, and that's for the regeneration, followed by, of course, Lick the Wounds. Have I ever had a flak build yet without Lick the Wounds, and there's a reason why. Now, if you wanted to, you could go Jabber here. Beefcake Jabber, or if you put the extra points into the Stalker tree, you could pick up the Gunslinger. Now, the Gunslinger, in my opinion, wouldn't be too bad. So if we go ahead and purchase the extra dot, we have the Gunslinger if we wanted to. So, Grenade Launcher with all this extra damage being pumped out could work out very well. But it also leaves us with 7 points, 8 points, depending on how you see it, to go ahead and invest in other things. You might want to go ahead and stack some crit damage. You might want to go ahead and put some possible ammo recovery. It all depends on where you want to put it. For me personally, I would end up putting in Who Rescued Who. And then I would drop, where was it? Because I know I passed it up. And the other 2 points into Self-Repairing System. And this is all to keep your pet alive longer. If you watch some of the gameplay footage that has been put out recently, the pet, when surrounded, can take a lot of damage very quickly, and it just drains that health really quick. By the way, this is the in-game build. I would suggest beginning with Ferocity, then go for the eyes, pick up this, and then work your way down as you see fit. But I would begin with Ferocity. You could possibly pick up Frenzy before you go for the eyes. It all depends on how you want to do it. But I do recommend picking up Psycho on a stick as soon as you can. And like I said, I think Iridian Skag is going to be good here again too, because the increased damage, the increased fire rate. The Jabber does have the increased movement speed and the increased critical hit. But if you're like me, you hit a lot of body shots, so will your pet. So with that said, we're going to move over to Zane. Now, I've been avoiding this build of Zane. And a lot of it has to do with I'm not a clone and drone guy. But this is kind of a weird clone and drone, because a lot of it is very grenadey as well. Again, you'll notice that I left 7 points out of this build so you can have some creativity to go along with it. And this is actually a very, very popular build, at least on the basis. So first thing I want to do is I want to pick up 5 points of borrow time. Anything that reduces cooldown is a good thing. We are going to pick up Cryonova. And what you're going to see about this build is it's about one other thing. Speed. So, it takes a little bit to get into, and it's not on this tree. But as we go down, we see a lot of the standards that we have. We have Borrowed Time. We have Premunitus. It's some Warhammer word, and I can't pronounce it. Donnybrook, Fractal Frags, Duct Tape Mod, which I actually like this, and if you want to spend the extra point in it to get it up, go right on ahead. Quick Breather. We have Old You, very valuable if you're ever if you solo. Here's one of the things we have for movement speed, which is Supersonic Man. So if we have both skills activated, we're looking at 24% movement speed per activation, which can be done every 90 seconds. And every 30 seconds, you can just have that 12% activated. I consider Like a Ghost to be a movement feat. Hey, I'm a weird guy like that. So we're going to have the Like a Ghost and just matrix this out. I like Boom Enhance. If we're gonna go clone, we better go get that Boom Enhancement. And of course, one of the most broken capstones in the game, Double Barrel. Now, by the way, I'm going to recommend this to everybody. If you have a Shredifier, if you have something like an Infinity, if you have something like a really badass grenade launch or rocket launcher, switch over to that currently equipped weapon before you make the copy of the clone. See, the way that it's worded is the clone is equipped with a copy of Zane's current weapon when activated. So, what you want to do is you want to set him up with a rocket launcher, switch places with him immediately to increase that gun damage, and then just watch him just nuke everything. The reason I mentioned specifically like the Infinity Pistol is you'll just see him go all day long. Next, we come over to our drone. And this is where we get most of our speed enhancements. We have gun damage. More we move, the quicker we move, the more gun damage that's done. Kill skill. After killing an enemy, movement speeds increase by 20% for 8 seconds. Kill skill, another one that increases reload speed. Again, a speed feat. I'm counting it. Sentinel will occasionally drop a free delivery, which is our drone delivery. And all kill skills have a greater effect. This is very important to pick up with this. That way skills like these last longer. Now, I didn't mention what mods I picked up. I picked up the binary system. And it's because any extra frost damage going out is a good thing. And then we picked up the digital distribution. And it's that way you can have a little bit of durability. Because even though we're going to be a fast-moving target, it still comes down to possibly being hit and dying. Now for our drone, we have the radiation beam, which does fire rates, movement, and it tells us our duration is going to be 12 seconds on an 8-second cooldown. But that's their debuff. And anything that debuffs them, in my opinion, buffs us. And then you can have whatever you want as the other piece. There's nothing here that really ups or downs speed for either you or your enemies. So I took Boomsday because I like the idea of the rocket pods. Along with the machine gun. So you see a lot of just damage coming out of the drone. And that leaves us 7 points at about level 43. Now, what you could do, if you were inclined to, you could go ahead and pick up this. Instead of using the drone, for instance, we invest 5 points into, let me see, which one was it here? 5 points into adrenaline. And we pump up the ability with this little rabbity here. Now we're going to have to find 5 other points to get back, or 3 other points to get back from somewhere else. So it all depends on what you want to do. And it'll have to come from this tree. If you want to, these aren't all necessary. The Cool Hand, the Drone Delivery, and the Death Follows Close. Although Death Follows Close is, I would say, almost a mandatory. But you could do something like take away Duct Tape Mod. That would give us extra points to put over here. And then we can pick up the second augment to our shield. But if we want to do more of it, we can invest into the other cooldown stuff. But that's more of an actual cold build, which you might see me do because I've been producing videos at a lot greater pace than I thought I would. You might see me push out a few more videos than I normally would. And I like doing these two characters side by side. With that said, these are some pretty interesting builds. The pet build, I want to really get down and see how that works out. Because this is all focusing on the pet being the badass, not you being the badass. It's where I want the Iridian the Iridian Skag because it pulls everything in close. But I could see a lot here. There's a lot of viability here. When you watched all the streamers do their thing over the course of this week, I'm not sure if there was any people streaming on the morning of the 16th, but I know there was on the 14th and the 15th because I spent a lot of time watching them. In fact, I watched both sets in my monitor on my dual set of monitors here. You found that they didn't really spec into pets. They were all about themselves, which is, of course, almost every single one of them built crit builds. You didn't see a lot of investment into the master tree. So, I think it's something worthy of at least pointing out. With that said, I want to say good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time of day it is for you, and may joy be absolutely to every last one of you.